The air in our bedroom was thick, heavy with the kind of quiet that screams louder than words. I stood frozen, my hand trembling around the phone I'd just picked up from the nightstand. Her phone, left unlocked, its screen glowing like a confession. A single message stared back at me. Miss you already. Same time tomorrow. The sender's name was a gut punch, Mark, her ex. My chest tightened, as if the room had sucked out all its oxygen. I wanted to scream, to hurl the phone against the wall, but my body wouldn't move. Instead, I just stood there, staring at the words that cracked open 7 years of marriage like a hammer through glass. The house was too still, the kind of stillness that amplifies every creak of the floorboards, every distant hum of the refrigerator. I could still smell her perfume, jasmine and something sharper, like regret, lingering on the pillow where she'd slept beside me just hours ago. Claire had been distant for weeks, her smiles brittle, her touch fleeting. I'd chalked it up to stress, to her long hours at the law firm, to the way life sometimes grinds love into routine. But this was no routine. This was a blade. And it was slicing through every promise we'd made. I set the phone down, my fingers numb, and sank onto the edge of the bed. My mind raced, replaying moments I'd dismissed, her late nights, her guarded phone, the way she'd flinched when I'd reached for her hand last week. Each memory was a splinter, embedding deeper. Had I been blind? Or had I just not wanted to see? I thought of her laugh, the one that used to light up our cramped apartment when we were newlyweds, broke but happy. Now that laugh felt like a ghost, haunting a house that no longer felt like ours. I didn't confront her right away. I couldn't. My throat was too tight, my thoughts too jagged. Instead, I waited, the phone's message burning into my brain. When Claire came home that evening, her heels clicking sharply against the hardwood, I watched her from the kitchen. She tossed her keys onto the counter, her auburn hair catching the light like a halo she didn't deserve. "Long day," she muttered, not looking at me, her voice flat as she poured herself a glass of wine. "Anything interesting happen?" I asked, my tone careful, like stepping around broken glass. Her eyes flicked to me, then away, too quickly. "Just the usual," she said, sipping her wine. "Clients. Deadlines. Lies." The word hung unspoken between us, heavy as the air before a storm. I wanted to demand answers, to shake her until the truth spilled out, but something held me back. Fear, maybe, or the desperate hope that I'd misread the message, that there was an explanation that wouldn't shatter me. Days passed, each one a slow bleed. I became a detective in my own life, noticing every inconsistency. The faint scent of cologne on her coat, the way she'd angle her phone away when texting, the late-night work calls she took in the guest room. I hated myself for it, the paranoia, the doubt, but I couldn't stop. Every clue was a weight, pulling me deeper into a truth I wasn't ready to face. I started checking her phone when she showered, my heart pounding as I scrolled through messages that confirmed nothing and everything. "Can't wait to see you. You make me feel alive." Each word was a betrayal, not just of me, but of the life we'd built. The late-night talks, the shared dreams, the miscarriages we'd grieved together. The night I finally confronted her, the house felt like a stage set for tragedy. Rain battered the windows, a relentless drumbeat that matched my pulse. Claire was curled on the couch, scrolling through her tablet, her face bathed in its cold light. I stood in the doorway, my hands clenched, the words I'd rehearsed for days lodged in my throat. "Claire," I said, my voice low, unsteady. She looked up, her eyes narrowing slightly, like she sensed the storm coming. "Who's Mark been texting you about?" Her face froze, just for a second, but it was enough. A crack in her composure, a flicker of guilt. "What are you talking about?" she said, her voice too sharp, too defensive. "Don't," I said, stepping closer, my chest tight with anger and heartbreak. "I saw the messages. Miss you already. Same time tomorrow." "What the hell, Claire?" She set the tablet down, her movements slow, deliberate. "You went through my phone?" Her tone was accusing, as if I were the one who'd betrayed her. The audacity of it lit a fire in me. "Don't turn this on me," I snapped. "You're sneaking around with your ex. How long, Claire? How long have you been lying to me?" Her lips parted, then closed, her eyes darting away. For a moment, I thought she'd deny it, spin some story to save herself. But then her shoulders slumped, and she buried her face in her hands. "It's not what you think," she whispered, her voice breaking. "It's complicated." "Complicated?" I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "You're sleeping with him, aren't you? Don't lie to me again." She flinched, like I'd struck her. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she said, tears spilling down her cheeks. "It was just he was there, and I was so lonely, and you've been so distant, Tom." "I've been distant?" My voice cracked, raw with pain. "You're blaming me for this? I've been here, Claire, every damn day, trying to hold us together while you're out there with him." The argument spiraled, words cutting deeper with every exchange. She admitted to seeing Mark for months, claiming it was just emotional at first, but her excuses crumbled under the weight of my questions. I saw her then, not as my wife, but as a stranger. Someone who'd chosen to break me rather than face whatever emptiness she felt. The love I'd clung to felt like a lie, a fragile thing I'd been too naive to question. I didn't sleep that night. By morning, I'd packed a bag, just essentials, enough to get me through a few days. Claire watched from the doorway, her eyes red, her voice pleading. "Don't do this, Tom," she said. "We can fix this. I love you." I wanted to believe her, but love wasn't enough anymore. "You don't get to say that," I said, my voice cold. "Not after this." I walked out, the door slamming shut behind me, her sobs echoing in my ears. Days later, I was crashing at a cheap motel, the kind with flickering neon signs and stained carpets. My phone buzzed incessantly, Claire's sister, Jen, leaving voicemails that grew more frantic with each call. "Tom, she's a mess," Jen said in her last message, her voice sharp with desperation. "She hasn't eaten, hasn't slept. She just keeps asking for you. You've made your point, okay? Come home." I sat on the sagging mattress, staring at the phone, my heart torn between anger and guilt. Part of me wanted to go back, to fix what was broken, to believe in the woman I'd loved. But then I remembered the messages, the lies, the way she'd looked at me like I was the one who'd failed her. I thought I'd hit rock bottom, but the real blow came later that night, when Jen sent a photo, Claire, sitting on our couch, holding a pregnancy test. Positive. My breath caught, the world tilting. Was it mine? Or his? The question clawed at me. A new betrayal I hadn't even considered. I stared at the photo, my heart pounding, knowing that whatever came next, confrontation, reconciliation, or walking away for good, nothing would ever be the same.